Good morning. Welcome to this December 13th worship service from First Parish Church of Kingston, Massachusetts. I am the Reverend Monica Jacobson-Tennessen. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve this church as its minister. Today, we have the very special treat of having Joe Jencks with us to co-lead the service. And it's going to be a service that is rich with music. And I am so excited to share it with you today. I am going to pass it over to our worship associate, Chris Page, to light our chalice for us. And you are invited to light your chalice along at home.
This morning's chalice lighting words are from Reverend Charles Howe. We light this chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways. That new truth is ever waiting to break through to illumine our minds, and that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. May we be open to this light and to the rich possibilities it brings us.
Thank you. And now Joe has our first song of the service for us.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to join you today, and I join you from DeKalb, Illinois. And I have the privilege of living on land that was the ancestral home of the Potawatomi and the Ottawa peoples.
There's a flame in darkness, burning deep within our hearts, in the love that grows between us. This is where the journey starts. There is hope in the stillness. There is solace in our friends and in the love that grows between us. This is where the isolation ends. Come full circle in a moment. Hold no shame in what you feel. This old world will keep on turning, and our broken hearts will heal. When the rain falls around you like your solitary tear, in the love that flows between us, know that thunder holds no fear. In the struggle you hold sacred, when the arrows pierce you through, in the love that flows between us, may your courage be renewed. There is music in each silence. There is promise in each day, and in the love that holds between us, may we always find our way. Come full circle in a moment. Hold no shame in what you feel. This old world will keep on turning, and us. The sacred journey never ends. Yes, in the love that flows between us, sacred journey.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you this morning and so good to have Joe with us. I'm going to invite us to do something a little different this morning, which is to imagine together. So you can close your eyes, relax, however that will work best for you. I invite you to do it. Imagine that you live in a time of plague, of great political instability, a time rather like now, but in England, in what we know as the Middle Ages. The loss and uncertainty of this time are weighing on you. You're in need of support, but everyone that you know feels as unmoored as you do. Where can you go? To whom can you go? You remember that a few years ago, your childhood friend decided to fulfill her religious calling as an anchorite. That's a person who devotes their life to stillness apart from others. From this place of stillness, an anchorite writes and prays and offers counsel to the people of the community. You decide that you can go to her. Much later, your friend will become famous. She'll be known as Julian of Norwich, and she'll have written the first book in the English language ever published by a woman. But you don't know that. She's just your friend. You know that you can go to her. So imagine with me, what questions will you ask your friend? What counsel do you think she'll offer you? You walk to her window, which is the only way as an anchorite that she is allowed to interact with you or with any others. You explain everything that's happening in the world. You tell her your fears and your troubles, and she listens to you. Then she says the thing that you knew she would say: all will be well. All manner of things will be well. If anybody else said this, you wouldn't believe them. But because it's Julian, because it is your friend, you believe her. You believe that there is the possibility that things may be well again. Imagine, all will be well. What do these words mean to you? What comes to mind for you when you imagine that things could be well again? What does the promise of these words do to help carry you through this time, a time like this?
Thank you, Jen, for inviting us into that imagining. We will talk just a little bit more about Julian later in the service. First, Chris has a reading to share with us, and then we'll have another song from Joe.
This morning's reading is with words from Tess Ward. Tess writes, so the themes of December are about waiting and watching in the darkest part of the year. It is celebrating hope and the return of the light amidst the bleakness of the natural world and the struggles of the human world. There is a focus on the little and the ordinary, holding truth of light and the need for love, both of those nearest and dearest to us and those whom we don't know. For some, this hope is located symbolically by offering intentions before the movement of the sun. And for others, it is found in the arrival of a tiny baby.
This is a song called The Longest Night of the Year, and I wrote this about this time, maybe 5 years ago, right this time of year.
Standing in the dark, we light a candle as we hold on to the hope that things will change. Love will lead the way back into the light. The heart of winter is upon us. The chill wind touches every bone. Frost grows on the glass as daylight gives into the night. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night of the year. There are days that we remember when the sun shone brightly in the sky. All the world was new, and storm clouds passed us by. But summer turns into the winter, through autumn's colors as they fall, as we strain to remember the sound of the songbirds' call. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night of the year. The promise of spring still lives within us, even when it seems so far away. So we hold hands and walk together, not knowing where the path will lead, as we dare to hold out hope in our time of need. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night, on the longest night, on the longest night of the year.
Thank you, Joe. What a gift to have you and your music with us today.
Thank you.
So our December Soul Matters theme is stillness. And I wonder what that might bring up for each of you. Were you ever told to hold still for some reason? Maybe you were a child and you had to hold still for a picture, or you had to hold still to have your face wiped. Maybe as an adult, you have held still for stitches or pins to hem your pants for some other reason. Guess what? Be still is different than hold still. Probably many of us have heard it in the sentence, "Be still and know that I am God," which comes from one of the Psalms. And if you're translating out of theist language into something that works for you, you might say it as, "Be still and know that life is so much bigger than you." Be still is an invitation to right size yourself, to stop trying to control everything. When it shows up in the Psalms, the original Hebrew is a word that's probably better translated as surrender. Surrender and know that life is so much bigger than you. Surrender and find yourself in relation to all that is. Now, of course, if you have been living in modern white capitalist culture, and I think we all have been, then surrender does not sound much more appealing than hold still does. You might be thinking about people surrendering after battle scenes in movies. Surrender might sound like something people do when they've given up and they've lost. And here we are living in this dominant culture that tells us to strive, to hustle, to be in control of ourselves and of everybody around us. For those of us who are really steeped in this culture, even our work for justice can have an air of needing to be successful, needing to be in control, working really, really hard. Maybe some of you read the New York Times article this summer titled "To White People Who Want to Be One of the Good Ones," in which Maeve Higgins, a white Irish comedian, writes, "There is a frantic race to catch up, and that's got to be the right instinct, right? I mean, look at this moment in history. I swear, if I don't do it right, I will ask to speak to my own manager." Then she notices how much of the intensity and urgency she feels about racial justice work is really centered in her own ego. I catch myself wanting to be one of the good ones, and I have to laugh at myself, she says. Who exactly do I imagine is paying attention to me? Is somebody out there doling out points? Black people have been killed in broad daylight by the police, by actual representatives of the state, and I am fretting over the wording of an Instagram post. This article says to me, be still. Surrender, not in the sense of give up or stop working, but in the sense of maybe chill out a little and let the greater life unfold with you as a part of it. Right size yourself. Keep things in perspective. Lean into the paradox that when you stop reaching and grasping so hard, it becomes more possible that you'll find what's needed. Let's put it another way. Maybe you know about me that I love to read sci-fi and fantasy books. I find there's something about strange new worlds, whether they are on alien planets or alternate dimensions, or maybe secretly, magically hidden here in the 21st century on Earth. Something about those books helps me keep thinking about what it means to be human. About 20 years ago, I read one in which a boy takes his dog for a walk, and he discovers that the dog has the ability to walk into other realities. Now, this boy is a wizard himself, so he's not too weirded out by this. He starts learning to create the realities they walk into. He imagines underwater kingdoms. He imagines moonscapes. Together, they create an immense field full of squirrels to chase. Okay, just the dog created that one. After a while, he stops imagining new worlds, and they just walk, letting the darkness be. Diane Duane, the author, writes, "There was something liberating about not knowing where you were going, just surrendering yourself to the night, and not making anything either, but just being there and letting the darkness be there too. Not trying to fill it with form, but letting it exist on its own terms." In this story, the boy notices something in the darkness, a gleed, a dragon's eye. The author tells us the idea was you might draw a dragon, but the eyes were where the soul was, and the dragon wouldn't come to life until the eyes were added. So the boy scoops it up, this little spark of powerful magic, and he tucks it away. And that spark of power makes all the difference later, at a crucial moment. But he doesn't know it when he picks it up. He just knows that he let the darkness be. He surrendered. And after a while in the quiet, something was there to find. I wonder what Julian of Norwich would have made of this story. I wonder if she would have nodded and said, "Oh yes, that's right. When you settle down, when you surrender, when you are quietly attentive to what is possible, then the possibilities find you." This December season is a good time for stillness, for this practice of quiet attention. It's Advent in the Christian tradition, a time of waiting and watching. It's almost Yule in the wheel of the year, a chance to find blessings in the longest night and light fires to call back the sun. It's almost the winter solstice, when that longest night is followed by the slow, steady lengthening of days. It's Hanukkah now in the Jewish tradition, celebrating the miracle of a lamp that burned for 8 days, even though it only had enough oil for one. 8 days. And the Maccabees knew when they lit the lamp that there wasn't anything they could do to make it stay lit until the new oil was ready. But they lit it and surrendered. And in the darkness, there was light to be found. We need them both. The gentle darkness of winter, that quiet space of surrender wrapped around us, and the light that sparks there. And you know something about this in your own life in much more mundane terms. Have you ever solved a problem while you were absent-mindedly driving to the grocery store or while you were washing your hair? Some part of you was able to let things be, to surrender, to simply let life unfold. And then there was the idea you needed. Or how about times when you just couldn't figure out how to solve a problem or how to word that sentence? And so you talked with some colleagues or some friends. And in that surrender, your willingness to admit you didn't have all the answers by yourself, someone gave you what you needed. About the work of anti-racism, Maeve Higgins writes, I hope you understand that grappling with this country's brutal past and imagining a future that is fair is not something you are expected to do alone. You're simply one drop in a new wave, a wave that slips easily into an ocean of people, deep and permanent, who have long been eroding the cliffs of white supremacy. This practice of being still is not about stopping everything. It is about loosening our grip, finding ourselves in relationship to all that is, and being curious about what we might find. It is about creating occasions to let the darkness be and to see what we might find there. It is about recognizing that there in the dark, we may find the spark we need to do our part. Our part, no more, no less. This is the wisdom that arises in so many traditions. And it is the practice that we are invited into once more in these times. May it be so.
Amen.
I'm going to pass it over to Joe to lead us in another musical moment.
Wow, you had me a little choked up there. What a beautiful reflection. Jen was talking about Julian of Norwich, and this is a song that I wrote based on a mantra that Julian would invite people to say, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. And I invite you from wherever you are to sing that with me. You'll pick it up quickly.
Gather here to witness and affirm the harmony of spirit and of heart. Manifest within you, brought forth from deepest hope, to be a force of healing in this world. All will be well, all will be well. All manner of things will be well.
Wherever life may call you.
Wherever life may call you.
Wherever you may dwell.
Wherever you may dwell, all will be well. All will be well, all will be well. You find your purpose in service to a light that emanates from each and every being that is life. We see the gifts that blossom in your care and the people who are nourished by your love. All will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. be well, all will be well. May you go forth to mend what has been broken, to feed those who are hungry, to quench the ones who thirst, for a world of compassion, for mercy that abounds, and a place to dwell in, and a place to dwell in sacred gentleness. All will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. Wherever life may call you, wherever you may dwell, all will be well, all will be well. Join me, all will be well. All will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. Wherever life may call you, wherever you may dwell, all will be well, all will be well. All will be well, all will be well.
This is an interesting time in my life, I have to own, for all of you, beloved community, that my brain feels like a pinball machine this morning. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has experienced this during the era of COVID in the last 9 or 10 months, 11 months. It has been a challenge for all of us in different ways. But I lost somebody who was very, very dear to me. One of my truest friends and sort of second mom, late Thursday night to COVID. And I'm now remembering, as I take a moment for stillness, the chaos that goes on in my brain when I'm grieving. I'm remembering that I stay busy when I'm grieving. When my dad died, I was 19 and I did yard work for days and days and days. That yard never looked as good, and one of my sisters was with me in that. When my mom passed, I was living in Seattle at the time, and my apartment was never cleaner. No apartment I've ever had was cleaner than that apartment was in the wake of that loss. And I realize with Reverend Monica's invitation into stillness that I'm afraid of the stillness. I'm afraid of what's there. I'm afraid of what I have to feel if I slow down long enough to sit in the stillness. And that fear keeps me engaged and active. And I've learned over my adult life how to harness the power of that. It becomes a superpower in those moments when I feel like I'm entering into some form of crisis. Rather than seeking stillness, I just boldly drive forward and get things done. I harness that energy for good purpose. And still there is this invitation to be calm, to be gentle. I notice the pinball effect in my head as songs that I've been singing for years and words I have memorized, years ago are not in my brain where they're supposed to be. I notice that the chaos around me has an impact, and yet still there is this invitation. And the question that it asks, why are we afraid of the stillness? For me right now, there's a depth of sadness that I have to feel if I sit with the stillness. For others, it's fear. For others, there may be some opportunity to take agency, but it feels a little intimidating. And if we sit with the stillness, there's an opportunity to be aware of what we're called to do in the world or in a particular circumstance. Stillness scares us, and yet we must embrace it. We must make peace with that space. In 2003, when the country was at war and launching a new phase of that war, a group called Answer started putting together marches in the United States in coalition with peace groups all over the world. Answer was helping coordinate a global day of solidarity and anti-war protests. Globally, over 100 million people marched in one 24-hour period. I was marching in San Francisco that year with some friends. There was the first time I had seen old black and white newsreels of, excuse me, 300,000 or 400,000 or 500,000 people marching. I had never seen it at that point in my life with my own eyes. It was an astonishing thing to march through the streets of San Francisco with that group of people. And at the same time, there was a march going on in New York and major cities all over the world and small towns. And Answer had invited Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk from Plum Village in France. Thich Nhat Hanh, if you're not familiar, is one of the great interpreters of Buddhism into the West in the modern age, and founded a branch of Buddhism that is often referred to as engaged Buddhism, that really begs the question not just about how we find stillness for ourselves, how we find peace or equanimity for ourselves, but how we then use that practice to help create it for others in the world. Where is there suffering that we have the opportunity to help alleviate? And Thich Nhat Hanh was invited to come speak. He had been a huge figure during the anti-Vietnam War protests and a significant peace activist throughout his life. And he was asked to come to New York and speak at this huge event that would be happening there. And they offered to pay all of his expenses and asked about if he required an honorarium and all of these things. And this story was related to me by a friend, so I can't swear to you that this is exactly how it happened, but I can tell you it is how it was told to me. And Thich Nhat Hanh said, well, I would love to come. I would love to be a part of this moment in time and share it with you. But rather than offer a speech, what I would like to do is lead a silent walking meditation through Manhattan. We really cannot speak loudly enough to have an impact in one of the busiest cities in the world. But rather than protesting a war or having a demonstration for peace, why don't we simply demonstrate what peace looks like? If we got 500,000 people walking peacefully, quietly, in silent walking meditation through the streets of Manhattan, that is something that I think the world would hear. And it was not in keeping with the organizers' vision, and Thich Nhat Hanh did not come to the United States for that event, and they did not have a silent walking meditation through the streets of New York. But I still think about that, because just as I am in this moment in my life, feeling the effects of that pinball machine brain where the ball just keeps bouncing off of one bumper and the next, and I keep trying to slap the paddles to keep it in motion. I wonder what stillness is asking of me in this moment. And I wonder what would happen if we could, in some of the busiest cities in the world, take this idea and bring it forward and invite 500,000 people, or 100,000 people, or 10,000 people, or 20 people to do a silent walking meditation in a public space, rather than protesting a thing or demonstrating against a thing, to simply demonstrate what that stillness looks like and what it means to interpret that stillness for others into the broader structure of our society. I don't know how to do that, but I'll keep working on it. I'm not done thinking about it.
So Joe and I would like to invite you into a guided meditation in stillness. Go ahead and, first off, if you have your phone nearby, go ahead and silence it. We'll start with that. The primary challenge to stillness in the modern era seems to be the buzzing of a phone notification. And now I want to invite you to ground yourself, whatever that means for you this morning. It might mean feet flat on the ground. It might mean really stacking your spine so your head is over your shoulders or over your hips. It might mean standing up or lying down. Whatever is right for you today, ground yourself. You can let your eyes close or just let your gaze be soft and unfocused. Take a good deep breath. Feel the way the air fills your body. Let it out. Sink in to the experience of breathing. In and out. In and out. Invite your mind to be still. Let yourself stop creating worlds in the darkness. The space around you is open. Thoughts may come rushing toward you. You can gently set them aside. Return to your breath. In and out. In and out. Bring your attention gently to the darkness. Be relaxed, yet alert to what you might find. Do you sense something offering itself to you? If you do, you can hold on to it. Are you simply there in the darkness? If you are, you can notice what it's like to just be. There is no need to emerge from this meditation with something to show for it. The only need is to be. Take another good, deep breath. In and out. Now we will begin to come back. You can use some gentle movement. Wiggle your fingers, make circles with your wrists. You can roll your shoulders or your ankles. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and rejoin us here. I thank you for taking this time with me to be still, to let the darkness be, and to see what we might find there. And if you are moved to share a word or a phrase in our chat box, to tell us what this was like for you, we would love to hold together what it was like and what you might be carrying out of this experience. See centering. Totally loved this. We all need to just stop sometimes. Joy of stillness. The experience was prayer-like, cozy. Shared stillness goes ever deeper. Thoughtfulness, depth. I am not in the moment, I am the moment. Thank you all for sharing this with Joe and me. We are grateful. One more calming joy, gratitude. Lovely. Thank you all. I see one last comment. The stillness of the moment, beautiful. Thank you, Joe, for your offering of mindful music. Yes, thank you so much. As we continue surfacing from this time, we are going to turn our attention to the offering.
A couple of weeks ago, as most of you know, was Giving Tuesday, a day when you hear from all the organizations you've ever contributed to, emailed, or had an association with, or graduated from. But you didn't hear from us. So today I'd like to take a minute just to remind you of the importance you are in sustaining this church and enabling us to bring guests and talent and beautiful poetry like Joe Jencks into your lives. Your sustaining contributions and your offering is gratefully received.
As I was walking down the only road I knew, on a place where that one road turned to two. I took the one that seemed less worn. I did the best I could till that happened on a wise man all alone out in the woods. He looked at me a moment, he looked up at the sky. He turned as if about to speak, but all he did was sigh. So I ventured forth the question. I said, surely you must know, will the road that I now travel take me where I want to go? He said, do it for the power and you'll surely be a slave. Do it for the glory and you'll find an early grave. Do it for the laughter and you'll surely find your smile. Do it for the singing and you've gone the extra mile. I still had some questions I thought might clear the air. I turned around to ask and found he was no longer there. I thought maybe this was God I saw as I got down on my knees. But soon enough I heard my answer in the wind blowing through the trees. It said, do it for the power and you'll surely be a slave. Do it for the glory and you'll find an early grave. Do it for the laughter and you'll surely find your smile. Do it for the singing and you've gone the extra mile. Many months have come and gone, now and then I go astray, but I come back to the path, 'cause for me it's the only way. Well, I do not have much money, but I find I have more time to seek the answers that I need in the eyes of those I find. They say, do it for the power and you'll surely be a slave. Do it for the glory and you'll find an early grave. Do it for the laughter and you'll surely find your smile. Do it for the singing and you've gone the extra mile. They say, do it for the power and you'll surely be a slave. Do it for the glory and you'll find an early grave. Do it for the laughter and you'll surely find your smile. Do it for the singing.
So if you have a chalice you'd like to join in extinguishing this morning, you can go ahead and get it. And Chris has our words.
We extinguish our chalices and go forth, remaining open to the ever-present possibilities of new light, new truth, and new love.
I wrote this song back in March. As the COVID curtain was falling, and now in December it still feels so appropriate. A song of hope and gentleness. It's called Love Will Guide My Way. It's also kind of cheerful. You might want to sing along. I will greet the morning, and I will greet the day, and I will greet the evening. Love will guide my way. I will greet the morning, that's your part. I will greet the day, I will greet the evening. I will greet the evening. Love will guide my way. The sun goes down, the sun comes up, the earth goes round, and I fill my cup with the goodness all around me. I know love will guide the way. And I will greet the morning, and I will greet the day, and I will greet the evening. Love will guide the way. The money comes and the money goes. I count my blessings, count my woes, but the kindness all around me grows. Love will guide the way. And I will greet the morning, I will greet the day. I will greet the day, I will greet the evening. I will greet the evening. Love will guide my way. Through broken hearts and broken bones, by internet or mobile phones, through gentle or impassioned tones, love will guide the way. And I will greet the morning, and I will greet the day, and I will greet the evening. Love will guide the way. Through times of fear and sadness, through times of joy and gladness, through apocalyptic madness, I know love will guide the way. And I will greet the morning, and I will greet the day, and I will greet the evening. Love will guide the way. So put your hands up to the rafters, sing and shout with laughter. 'Cause if it's hope you're after, I know love will guide the way. And I will greet the morning, and I will greet the day, and I will greet the evening. Love will guide the way. We will greet the morning, and we will greet the day. We will greet the evening. Love will guide the way. We will greet the evening. Love will guide the way. Through whatever else may happen, I know love will guide the way.
Thank you so very much, Joe, for being with us. It was really a pleasure and a gift to have you this morning.
Absolutely my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you to Chris Page for being our worship associate, to Jen Shattuck for our Time for All Ages, to imagine what it would be like to know Julian. I am going to hit stop on our worship recording now. So if you have had your camera off, you're welcome to turn it back on.